Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
Well, good morning, folks. As you can plainly see, Reed is not in the house. But we'll be hearing from Reed probably about 15 minutes, as he often does when he's out and about in his yacht, his big ship that he's on somewhere out in the middle of the Caribbean. He sent some pictures out and so forth. This morning, if you don't know who I am, I'm John Hamels. I'm often known as Doc Hamels, and I'll be your host. And we have a great show coming up. I call this, my guest is the second most interesting person in the world. The first interesting guy, of course, is the guy in those beer commercials, the Dos Equis, but my guest has got to be right up there, number 2. How's that for an intro, huh? This morning coming over here, I don't know how it is for you out your way, folks, but when you're driving and the sun is out, we got some photos that the guys took here. We'll see there in a second. There we go. This is right here in front of the school where we're located in the studios here at Access 5. But look at the trees. It's just like somebody went out there with a machine and just sprayed them with ice. And the fields are absolutely gorgeous white, and they just sparkle. I'm kind of getting romantic here, but it was gorgeous this morning. It was just a nice way to say goodbye to spring, to winter, and hello to spring. But I guess we're going to get up into the 40s and 50s over the weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. My dog not so much. He loves the winter, but I gotta get the towels ready for the muddy paws that come roaring through the house here every spring. All right. Well, anyways, good morning to everyone, and I want to remind you that this is a call-in show for the Senior Report, and we have a phone number that you can call. Magic, isn't it? This is just like on the telethon here, 753-5225, or you can do 753 and spell out the word Jack, and we'll be happy to hear from you. If you have an anniversary, a birthday, a shout out to one of your friends, someone that might be ill, and you want to send them some good wishes, you have a question for myself or our guest, feel free to give us a call, and we'll be happy to chat with you. Okay, coming up this week, let's see what's going on. The other day, I had the opportunity, mainly because of our cameraman Don Zenz here. He gave me a little note a few weeks ago and asked me if we were available to play for the senior citizens. So Doc and Bill, our Irish duo, we did an Irish program for the folks over at the VFW on Thursday, and we met all kinds of folks. I think it was like 52 people there, and what a great club it was. They have a great tureen dinner or luncheon, I guess you'd call it. To me, it was dinner. In the middle of the day, it was all kinds of foods, and desserts were as long as the long table, and just very friendly and welcoming. And I wanted to mention this to folks that are watching right now. Maybe you're newly retired, maybe you've moved into the area and you may not know about some of these opportunities. But I'm going to kind of go through a quick list here of some of the clubs that are listed in the paper, and some of the ones that we talk about here on the senior report from time to time. If you're sitting at home and going like, I'm bored to tears, my friends have all moved away, or I'm new to the area or whatever, there's some wonderful clubs out there. And if you don't have the information or don't get the paper, we are a resource. You can always call here. When I'm not doing this particular job, I'm over on the phone, and we keep a lot of this information for callers, so you can always call in for information where these clubs meet. The American Association of Retired People meet every second Tuesday of the month in Jamestown at the First Lutheran Church at 1:30. Anyone from the age of 50 on up is welcome. You got the Carroll Senior Citizens. They meet at 1 p.m. on the third Monday of each month at the Frewsburg American Legion. I'll just kind of jump around here a little bit. The Harmony Senior Citizens meet the first Thursday of each month. Faulkner Senior Citizens the fourth Monday. The Celeron West Ellicott Senior Citizens, they meet on the third Wednesday. Lakewood has the Bust-Eye Golden Agers at 1:30, and they meet on the third Tuesday of each month. Of course, the Mayville Senior Citizens, they meet twice a month, the first and third Thursdays of each month at the VFW right down the road from here. You've got the North Harmony Senior Citizens, the Ripley Senior Citizens. There's a Senior Citizen in Jamestown, Senior Center in Jamestown that's available. Young at Hearts at Finley Lake, and the Ellery Center, Ellery Senior Citizens, they meet at the Lutheran Church in Bemis Point. And I spoke to them this summer, and they were a great group, and they kind of move around the county as well. I mention this because I run into a lot of people throughout a given week, and it's so easy to get hung up at sitting in front of the TV, or just kind of like languishing in total despair sometimes. Get out, meet some friends. I think you'd be surprised that a lot of people that are in these clubs are vibrant, active people. They go on excursions, they go play the slot machines at the various casinos and so forth, and I'll let Reed tell you all about that. He's got his shtick on that whole thing. But they do things, and it's fun. And one of the things that struck me with the Mayville Senior Citizens, they have a section of their meeting where they recognize people that are sick, and they send you a card or call you up, how you doing, are you okay? It's sort of like a nice network. They keep track of people that have, unfortunately have passed away, but it's nice to know that somebody's looking out for you. They got your back, and I think that's real important. So it's in the newspaper once a week, the Post-Journal under Senior Briefs, quite a long column here. And if you still don't know, give us a call here at the station. We'll be happy to forward that information to you. Okay? One of the things that I wanted to point out today as your host is that there's something that we haven't really talked too much about here at the station, is the Westfield Memorial Hospital. I happen to be associated with them with the board of directors, but there's something that hasn't jumped out of the newspapers yet, and I'm free to talk about it. It's not a problem as far as any confidentiality, but there's a really, really cool thing that's happened in the last couple of months. Many people don't realize Westfield Memorial Hospital is doing great, okay? We had that scare with the Burger Commission. They were talking about closing it and all of that sort of thing. We're in good standing. Everything's strong. We're moving 100 miles an hour ahead. We are owned basically by St. Vincent's Hospital. A lot of people don't realize that connection. But did you know that St. Vincent's is now connected to Cleveland Clinic, the world famous Cleveland Clinic. So if you have an issue, let's say you live in our area here and you have to go to Westfield for something, you go to Westfield, then you could maybe need to go to St. Vincent's. If there's still some need that you've got the back door to Cleveland Clinic. They'll bring their doctors to bear to the situation. They can do consultations and so forth. So the whole system is Westfield, St. Vincent's to Cleveland Clinic, and a lot of people don't realize that. So you can share that with your folks. All right. One of the things that I was going to mention too today was I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Okay, we got Reed on the phone. We'll get to him in just a minute. Is that if you have an old computer component, everybody has them. I mean, we've changed computers like we do shoes sometimes. You know, they wear out, and what do we do with them? We stick them in the closet, and they sit there for hours. I don't know about you, but I don't throw anything away, according to my wife. I guess I get that from my dad. But anyways, we all have these units that are still kicking around in our basements or in a closet. The classes over at the Hughes Educational Center, the special ed classes over there, they do e-scrapping, and they will be glad to take any of your components for free. It doesn't charge you. You don't have to do that $2 docking fee or exchange fee or anything like that. They take the components and they break them all down. They separate them, and then they give them to this company, who then gives 50% of the proceeds to the Humane Society of Jamestown. So the kids are working as volunteers to do this. It's a service to you. It's a service to the Humane Society, and it helps you get rid of some of these components. The other thing I was going to talk about, and then we'll get to Reed here, is and nowadays everybody's trying to save money one way or the other, and sometimes you can save money by being smart. And the way you can do that, and I don't know if you've done this or not, but take a defensive driving class. A couple different organizations offer them, but did you know that if you want, and you're a AAA member, you can go online on the internet, you log in with your membership card, and for $35, you can take the online course in your home, 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, whenever, and you can do it across an entire month. They give you a month to take it, and it's screen by screen by screen, and it's all timed, and there's a little quiz at the end of each unit, and when you're all done, you get a certificate, you send it into your insurance company, and they'll give you up to like 10, 15% off. Well, let's go 10%. I don't know if they'll go 15, but 10% off of your insurance for taking the defensive driving course. A lot of people don't want to have to, get in the car and go to wherever and take this thing and sit all day for a variety of reasons, or they don't have the time. Well, how cool is that? You go to AAA.com. That's just, I'm not advertising for it, I'm just giving you information, and it tells you how to hook up with the defensive driving. So there's one way you can save money. If you got a couple cars and you're paying whatever amount, 10% of that, it's all money, it's all good. All right, I guess Reed Powers is on the line here. Are you out there, Reed?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm sitting at the captain's ship, Vito Giacolini, and with the person who takes care of all the passengers, with Zanetzik, and she is here to tell us a little bit about what's going on. We're just pulled into Grand Turk, which is a lovely little island down here, and it's a beautiful country. So, how's your program going?
Well, it's going okay. You're not here. I'm doing the best I can.
Okay, fine. Well, I want to let the captain say hello to you. He is the one in charge of the whole ship, of course. We got over 4,000 people on this ship, counting the crew, right? So here's Vito Giacolini. You can call him Vito.
Hello.
Good morning, Vito. How are you?
There. Oh, very good.
John.
We're warm. We have 73 degrees and a beautiful blue sky.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, we have the blue skies here, but not the 73 degrees.
Well, yeah. Well, we got our share of cold, up in New York. We're more down here south now.
Well, that's wonderful. So what's your itinerary from here?
Well, today we'll leave Grand Turk around 5, and we will be going to San Juan de Puerto Rico. Stay there till, the evening hours, and then the day after, that would be Monday, we are in St. Thomas, United States Virgin Islands.
Nice.
And then over there, leaving about, before dinner, and then to Tortola, that is the British Virgin Islands. Beautiful, actually, itinerary. Very, very interesting.
Tortola. Reed, have you been there before?
I've been around. It's a beautiful trip. Carnival has some of the most, I think, beautiful itineraries there are. Not to mention the food. They have the best food in the whole. So I've tried all the different industries, and Carnival has the best food. There's no question about it. So between that a lovely trip, and it's been just gorgeous. Captain Giacalone did a terrific job of getting us down here. He had to take a little, kind of up the coast a little bit for a while, but it's been just wonderful, and everybody's having a great time.
Well,
and I certainly think that you would have to come with me on one of these trips, John. But then who for the show?
well, I guess that'd be Randy, I guess. Think about that.
That's the line. Well, I want to put the one who takes care of the customers now.
Okay.
She's in charge of all the entertainment, the food, the beverages, the service, the cleanups, everything, even your room. She's in charge of everything.
She's the boss lady,
She
huh?
works with Vito, but her name is Zenet. And here she is.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joan. How are you?
Very well. Good morning. Is Reed behaving himself there?
Yeah, they are. They are. So, we are here on a beautiful Carnival Miracle, and as John said, it's happy here. So, you should be here also with us soon.
Oh yeah, it looks gorgeous. We're looking at your picture with Reed, and whoop, it was there. Now it was gone. But anyways, what country are you from?
I'm from Croatia.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the Eastern European countries, so on the other side of the world.
A lot of our guests, our viewers here, they don't realize that, and you can tell us, where do all your employees come from around the world, aren't they?
Yeah, they are coming all over the world. It's from 80 different countries. It's
Wow.
multicultural environment, so it's very good for everybody because you can learn a lot of about other crew members, other cultures, and it's.
And I have to brush up on my French. There are two great big crowds here that speak French from Canada. And I want to just mention, John, we have a special guest here as our manager, as our director of hotel. Zenet is one of the very few, I think there are only two women who've actually held this position in Carnival. And Carnival is the biggest of all, and I don't think any other ones have had a female director. Yeah, very, very rare. And very rare, even more rare to have a captain. I think there's one captain somewhere in the world.
Yeah, the pure fleet there, a couple of captains. I think Cunard as the captain and some other company. Cunard is the Carnival Corporation. Yes, but on Carnival, unfortunately, not yet. Well, it's just the beginning. We're just only over 30 years old, so we're growing to that.
That's the biggest. How many corporations do you have? They have a lot of other companies.
Yeah,
Where's my
And so, and they do just a worldwide fantastic business. Well, I'll put Zenet back. I interrupted. I just wanted to tell you, she is doing a fabulous job, and she is one of the two in the fleet
Wow.
who are female.
What? Whoa, we're getting feedback in here. There we go. We're back. What's the theme for this? Do you have a theme for your entertainment this week, or Broadway, or anything like that, or what's going on?
We do have a shows. We have a show, and also we do have a comedians who are coming during the week. A couple of them doing different type of entertainment. Guys loves it. It's very nice. It's called a Punchliner club comedy, and it's very good, very attended, very funny. Also on top of it, it's good, and the entertainment also for the broadcasting shows. They're two aboard, and they're held by our team members, so also very attentive. A lot of guests comes and see them. So
Yeah, that is magic show.
yeah,
No,
that's one of the art.
I need to tell you, if you run short of entertainers and anybody gets sick, Reed is a world famous TV personality, and he could talk forever, and he could entertain your guests. If you get a bad weather and like this, give him a microphone and let him go. Hey, Reed, we're running short on time here. Why don't you do a wrap up for us?
Okay. I just want to say hello to everybody, the gang over there, and thank you very much for releasing me for a few days.
You're welcome.
And I hope to put it on next week for a very brief time at the crack of the opening up of the show. So be ready for it, okay?
We'll be ready for you, Reed. Well, thanks for talking with us.
Another director of hotel coming aboard. and it'll be he'll be on Saturday following, but we'll be disembarking at that time. So it's going to be nip and tuck, if you know what I mean. My right waiting.
I know exactly what you mean. You hear all those bells and whistles and people, all right, and all that stuff you can never understand. All right, well, have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful week. Safe sailing.
I want Carnival to say goodbye, and I'm going to give Captain Vito Giacalone the last word.
All right.
Well, yes, all of us here, to all of you who come to cruise. Well, our next destination, unfortunately, we will be leaving New York that we love so much. But you never know. Maybe back in the future, you're going to get a bigger ships, the Carnival Splendor. We'll be heading through Panama to the West Coast and Hawaii and Alaska.
Wonderful.
So, well, if you want to just come and join us, we're waiting you with open arms. Your family's here. We are here waiting for you. Okay?
All right. Well, thanks.
And Vito says he can get you a hell of a discount.
Well, we hear about this every year, and I've yet to see that big discount. All right.
In the name of the Carnival America, I just want to say goodbye to everybody and hope to see you soon.
It was wonderful talking with both of you. And Reed, you behave yourself and have a wonderful trip. Okay? Enjoy the nice weather.
Best as possible, and thanks a lot. You have a good show.
All right, we are.
I appreciate you taking the job. Okay?
Absolutely, not a problem, Reed. You take care. Okay, folks, there you have it. Reed Powers from the Grand Turk Island, somewhere down there in the Caribbean. I've never been to the Grand Turk. I've been to some of those other places. All right, well, what we're going to do, folks, right now is we're going to take a little brief moment of a PSA, and then the second most interesting men in the world will be on our show. So let's take it away, Jeff.
Compete to make the right decisions about safe food preparations. Our challenge in this round, read and follow package cooking instructions and use a food thermometer. Let's see how our teams are doing so far. Team 1.
We just got 100 points.
We separated our raw food from our cooked food.
Team 2.
We got a 100-point green card for proper hand washing before our meal prep.
We've reached a critical safety point in the challenge. Okay, Team 1, let's check this out. Uh-oh, not a safe internal temperature for those hamburgers. That puts everyone at high risk for foodborne illness. You get a red card, undercooked. Always read and follow the package cooking instructions and use a food thermometer. Let's see how our winning team cooked it safe and avoided problems.
Well, I just kept focused on the 4 food safety steps: clean, separate, cook, and chill.
And we followed the package cooking instructions and took the temperature.
Can you cook it safe?
Weather's getting nice. The snow is melting off the decks, and the barbecue is becoming evident that it's been there all these months waiting for us to do some barbecuing. And that's a very good tip as far as barbecuing and making sure the meat's done right. I won't mention any particular relative, but they don't live in Chautauqua County, but they certainly could cook their meat a little better at times. You got to kind of check it out first. Send it back. Okay. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to somebody probably most of you know in one way or another. As an old friend of mine, we go back to radio days when I was an administrator at Bosie's. It's a long story, but I did a lot of work with radio and so forth. My good friend Mike Feguson. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Mike, the reason why I invited you here, because you are the second most interesting person in the world. I say that, lots of fun, but Mike, I've known you for 20-some years or something like that, and you have been everywhere doing everything. And, I consider myself maybe like in the top 1,000,000 most interesting people, but you're right up there. But Mike, why don't you tell us a little about, I can say this word, I've been practicing talking on TV. A little bit about yourself, and we'll get started here, so people might not.
Born and raised in Buffalo, New York.
Okay, we have that in common.
There you go. And actually came down here 20 years ago to actually 21 years.
See, I told you, I about know you that.
My lovely wife Diane, and who have been blessed with our children. We've got 5 kids between
one
the two
more
of
than
us,
me.
so that's great.
Wow!
And just about ready to become a grandfather for the second time.
Oh, congratulations!
So that's great.
We have a lot in common. You have Buffalo, a bunch of kids. My son's gonna have a baby his wife's gonna have a baby anytime now.
There you go.
So where in Buffalo were you born and raised?
Actually, West Seneca, Orchard Park area.
Suburb area of Buffalo. I was right in the heart of Buffalo.
Oh, West Seneca West graduate up there. So, and that's just, it's a great community, and this is this has been a blessing on my life and our life to be down here, because Chautauqua County is just great. You know, when I grew up in Western New York, I didn't even know where Chautauqua County was.
Oh yeah, because where all those poor kids got snowed in all the time.
Yeah,
remember?
and if somebody said, "Well, you're going to be living down there, and it's probably a good part of your life down there," I would have said, "You're crazy. I have no idea where this place is." And it was radio that brought me down here.
Radio.
It was radio. I spent over 20 years playing what has now become an obscure sport, racquetball. And
How's that possible that you could be doing that for so many years? I mean, is this like you can make a living at this, or?
It was a friend of my dad's. It was one of my neighbors who they used to play it on old handball courts up in Cheektowaga, and he said, "I'd like to teach you how to play racquetball." And I said, "Okay, that'd be fine." And we started playing, and I just was fortunate enough to get in very early in the sport, play, and got out just as its popularity. It's tough to play a sport. You can understand, especially if a lot of our senior folks have watched hockey and that type of thing, to try to follow the puck. You sort of
oh my gosh,
guys. Well, racquetballs travel over 120, 130 miles an hour, so it's very difficult to televise it. So I think that was kind of the demise of the professional end of
What do you
that.
do with the sport?
Yeah. And came back, and really when I first came back or came to Chautauqua County, I was also still teaching. I was a registered professional, so I was still teaching the sport various places throughout the county as well.
Can I tell you a racquetball story?
Sure.
Okay. This is a little known fact about me, all right? When I went to Buff State, where'd you go to school?
UB for a little bit. Well, Buff State for a very short period of time.
Another thing in common.
Yeah.
But in college, you got to take some kind of phys ed. And so I saw this handball, racquetball course. So I thought, what the heck, you know? So I take this course, and like yourself, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. But I made a crucial miscalculation one day. And if you know anything about racquetball or handball or squash, they're all in the same box. You're in this boxed area with walls, and you play off the walls, you play off the floor, you play off the back wall, and so forth. Well, I did one of the back wall deals. So the ball's coming over my head. I said, no problem. I will just scoop that ball as it hits the back wall over my head, and send it back. My head got in the way.
Caught it right in the face.
My racket didn't go like this. It went like this, and I put 3 stitches right through my eyebrow. I've never seen more blood in my life than I did that day when I hit my head. It was, I don't know if I knocked myself out. My buddies all dragged me, and they took me to the hospital. And there I am, and the nurse goes, they're all right with the razor blade, and she yells, "Don't shave the eyebrow. We don't do that anymore." I go, "Thank you." Well, anyways, so that's my claim to fame.
Oh, I've seen some pretty. You can't use the word awesome, but some pretty heinous incidents.
But people think, handball's for sissies. Oh my God.
Yeah, no such thing.
All right, so how'd you get to radio though?
Was just I actually started trying to go to school for communications, and it was an executive intern program that they started when I was in high school, where they took kids who had already had all their credits and everything and had interest in certain areas. And they actually put me at the old WBEN and Channel 4 as an intern.
Van Miller, that whole crew?
Yeah, Van Miller and all those guys, and Dick Reifenberg and Stan Barron. And I had to take 3 buses from West Seneca Orchard Park to Elmwood Avenue and back. And that was my senior year of high school. So started that and came back and worked at WBUZ in Fredonia before that ran into its problems, and then also WHUG and WKSN. So
you were down south. I didn't realize
we were down
you were
south
there
for a little bit. And Mike Bellani, you may remember the name Mike Bellani. He was the vice president of baseball operations for Rich Products and Rich Baseball, and he actually revolutionized minor league baseball for years. And of course, when the Jammers moved down here from Niagara Falls, Sean Riley was the general manager, and Greg Peterson asked me to dinner one night. He said, we want to talk to you. So he took us to the town club, and they said, "What do you think about starting a career in baseball?" And I said, well,
it's just a little bigger ball.
I'm a little older, I don't know, I'll give it a shot. Most of these kids are in their 20s. And they said, no, they said, we'd like to get you into the promotions and marketing of the Jammers. And I said, sure. Mike Bellani came into the room, sat down and talked, and said, I'll tell you what, he said, if you come on board and take this position, I'll give you the same position that Bob Rich gave me with the Bisons, which was Director of Promotions, Marketing, and Group Sales.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I think that we can get you to General Manager very quickly. Well, 6 months later, I was named the General Manager of the
Okay,
Jammers.
here's the story now, folks. This is a Mike and Doc story, all right? Mike has been, I'm going to stroke his ego here a bit. Mike has been a huge supporter of education in the county, okay? That goes without saying. And I was a regional administrator at the BOCES Center, at the Hughes Center down south. This must have been, I don't know, let's say about in the early, towards the end of the 90s, I think it must have been like maybe 98, maybe somewhere 97. And somehow we started talking and he said, you know, you've got the graphic arts program and I got this space out in the outfield, remember that?
Yep.
And he said, I'll give you some space to advertise the Hughes Center, the vocational classes and so forth. Well, Donna Lenz was our teacher at the time, and she created this mural, MDO board, I guess that's what it's called. What was it, about 12 foot high and about 5 feet wide? And it had a baseball player, it had the Hughes Center on there. Well, anyway, so the day we're going to dedicate this thing, there I am out on the pitcher's mound with Mike, and we're talking to the audience. That was a great moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And the crowd was cheering for us, and so I was up in the press box. I don't even remember who was doing the announcing. Maybe it was Terry Frank or somebody.
Yep.
And so my career and your career, we've overlapped, but it's been a lot of fun. And anyway, so I don't know, that's not up there anymore. I drive by the stadium every once in a while, I don't see it.
I think that's come and gone, but and I spent 5 years at that with the Jammers. At that time, they were the Detroit Tigers franchise, or farm club, and the same Mike Bellani called me and he said, you know, we did everything that we could do with the Jammers. He said, you kind of take it as far as you want to go. I'm kind of a type A personality, so I'm restless. So he said, how'd you like to go back to your hometown and be at HSBC Arena? And I said,
HSB.
Great. Well, which is now
Arena.
First Niagara.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
the big house.
Took over the Buffalo Blizzard, which was the soccer team at that time, and was their vice president and general manager. And I remained in the league for a while and actually took over as vice president and general manager of the Wichita Wings in Wichita, Kansas. And my lovely wife, God bless her, because she remained back, and of course she's worked in the BOCES system for over 30 years now. Special education.
You're supposed to say that.
That's right.
It only seems that long.
There you go. And well, we're proud of that. That's a long career, and she's still got a little ways to go. She was kind of shocked because we were watching the national news, and they showed a teacher who was retiring at 94, and she said, "There's no way. That's not happening."
Oh, but wow, 94.
She stayed back here in Fredonia with the kids, and in fact, my son and Andy and my daughter Rhonda were playing soccer in Erie.
Right, I remember that. So, what they call travel soccer.
Yeah. So she was driving them back and forth every day while I was flying back and forth to Wichita, Kansas.
Okay, let's stop to that point in your career. Okay, so I'm going to do this every once in a while here.
Sure.
Who's the most famous baseball player you've met?
Oh boy.
Or two or three.
That's a toughie because we've had a chance. You know, you look at where the Jammers have gone. Curtis Granderson played as a Jammer.
Bubba
Trammell, who's since retired. But Ricky Williams, who won the Heisman Trophy in football, played baseball for Batavia at the same time he was playing.
The Mud Cats, or what are they called?
Now they're the Mud Dogs. Mud Dogs, that's it, Mud Dogs. But you know, so we had a chance to meet them and John Elway and
you met
folks
John
like
Elway?
That. John came back to the New York Penn League to kind of throw out the first pitch for an anniversary because he too played in
both sports.
In the sport as well. We had a chance to meet Roger Clemens and people like that. So it's been a great. It's been an odd road.
How do you handle that when you have baseball royalty or any sport coming into your office or area?
They're great people. They're just
everyday people.
You know, we had an event last night with Jim Kelly for Hunter's Hope, and he's just. You know, especially once they're retired, they're totally different people. The egos are off the table, and
just another person.
Just absolutely wonderful. I'll tell you a funny story. A lot of people may remember Dennis Martinez, the famous pitcher for Cleveland Indians, Hall of Famer. And I was sitting in my office, and Norma Marvell was running the office for me, and she called and said, there's somebody on the phone for you. Well, we always get people all the time who ask for free tickets or this and that. And this was in the days when cell phones were these giant blocks. And I can tell somebody's in a car and they're talking on a phone. He says, I'm coming to see my son pitch, and he said, can I get into the stadium?
Right. Who are you?
Sure, of course you can get into the stadium, not a problem. And he says, well, can we get free tickets? And I'm thinking, well, wow, this guy's pretty bold. Who is this? You know, and I said, sure, can we get something to eat? And I'm thinking, oh, wow, you want me to feed you too? And I said, sir, well, we'll take care of it. Well, you know, what's your name? And all I heard was, Martinez. And I said, oh, okay, I didn't quite get it. I said, just ask for me when you get to the front, get to the front gate. And he says, well, can we do this? Where do I park? And I said, well, where are you coming from? He says, we're on the 90. Well, most of the people who came to a Jammers games from the 90 came down Fredonia Dunkirk exit. And I said, well, just get off the Fredonia Dunkirk exit and take Route 60 all the way down. And I said, by the way, what's your name again? He says, Dennis Martinez. I said, oh, okay, fine. And I hang up the phone, and I'm thinking, and I looked at the card, and I see who's pitching.
No way.
And I said, I just told Dennis Martinez to go the wrong way. He would have had to go. He was coming from Cleveland. And so we hurried up, ran into the locker room, and I was talking to his son. I said, you got to give me your dad's cell phone number. I just gave him the wrong directions. And we threw the number out to everybody in the office, and I said, you're going to eat this piece of paper when you're done. Nobody has Dennis Martinez's cell phone number. We finally got a hold of him, and well, we didn't get a hold of him, and I'm worried, what are we going to do? Meanwhile, Bush Industries had this huge picnic going on where their entire company was there, and Norma says, by the way, Dennis Martinez is at the front gate for you. And I'm thinking, oh, no,
he made it.
He said, no. He said, we looked at the map. And he said, my wife figured that we were going the wrong way. And that was when it was Route 17 back then, so he took 17 in. But he says, can I go into the bullpen and watch my son? So being the promoter that I try to be, I'm sitting here going, okay. Went back to Bush Industries. I said, you know what? We really appreciate everything you've done all these years. I've got a special guest for you today. We bring Dennis Martinez back, and of course they thought that we had done that specifically for them, but we had not. So that was one of my funny baseball stories.
Well, people may not know this, but Philadelphia Phillies, ace pitcher, Cole Hamels. He's a Churchill relative. He wrote to me not too long ago about some family genealogy, but I know a lot of his relatives that I've contacted over the years, so you never know who you're going to run into.
Get some tickets, you get to go to the game?
Well, I've got the tickets yet, and I haven't got any of the freebies yet, but my son got his picture taken with him out in Denver when they were out there. But let's just keep on going. Hey, folks, remember, this is a call-in show. If you got a question for Mike about sports or his career or tourism in Chautauqua County, here's the number, 753-5225. Don't be shy. If you do call, please remember to turn down your television because we get this feedback kind of a thing and it's hard to hear you. But please, anywhere in Chautauqua County, if you're listening, give us a call. Also remember, we're live right now. It's Saturday morning, March whatever it is. What is today's date? 8th? 9th? 9th. And I'm retired. I never know what day it is. And but we'll be rebroadcast throughout the county. So if you do see this later in the week, don't call because we won't be here. Okay, Mike, let's keep on going. So you were with the Blizzard, and I remember we all went to see a Blizzard game with you guys. There's Mike out on the rink, and he's introduced everybody. Really cool stuff.
Well, then from that standpoint, like as I said, I ended up in Wichita and came back and actually worked in NASCAR short track with Lake Erie Speedway for a while.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
See how interesting.
Yeah. And great. There's another one.
I forgot about that.
You meet some historic.
So who'd you meet there? Anybody?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was there.
Junior. My son Scott would die.
There you go. And so we had a chance because we were bringing a lot of drivers to meet people and greet and Casey Kane and just a lot of folks. Oh my gosh. So
Mike, we got a caller. Somebody might be interested to talk to you. So good morning, caller. How are you?
Well, good morning. First off, I'd like to greet your guest, and then I would like to make a little, as our thoughts turn to spring, thank God, a lot of people are thinking about, getting their weight under control and so forth. And in Westfield, New York, we have an organization called TOPS. TOPS,
Okay.
which stands for it's a nonprofit. And it stands for Take Off Pound Sensibly. And we meet at the Methodist Church every Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the evening. And if anybody would like any information, they could call 326-4343.
Well, that's easy to remember. Okay.
And
Get in shape.
it isn't like one of these ones that cost you an arm and a leg to come each week and so forth. It's self-motivation with others.
Is this in the community room in the back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I know right where it is. Okay.
Yes, in the parking lot door. There you go. Every Wednesday at 6. And I do have a question for your guest.
Okay. Take it away, Mike.
Now, in condition with your working with the winery, do they have, are older people into wine, and do they experiment much with different things, or are they just kind of, older people don't do wine like younger people, or
no.
would you know?
I'll tell you what, the number one consumer in America is our females, number one, and the second largest age group of consumers of wine are our senior citizens.
Well, it's good for your heart and
there
so
you
many
go.
other things.
It's great for your heart, and we have a lot of bus tours that come to all the wineries on Lake Erie Wine Country Trail, and there's 23 wineries in Chautauqua County alone, and so we do get
and
a lot
there's several right over the border. And I lived in Northeast Pennsylvania for many years and have friends there. And every year we do the wine tour.
Yeah. So we get a lot of groups that come out. Destinations Plus, which is a Fredonia-based business or Chautauqua County-based business, they bring a lot of senior groups through. And it's great. Our tastings at our winery, this isn't an advertisement, but they're
You can
free.
advertise, it's all right.
They're free, and it's been 37 years that the winery's been in business, and so the Merrit
Now, where
family's been
exactly is your winery located?
I'm at Merrit Estate Wines. I'm the new director of marketing and branding for Merrit Estate, and we're in Forestville. So we're right on King Road. If you come into Sheridan, where they used to have the flashing yellow light there, in beautiful downtown Sheridan, you just come up to King Road, and we're less than a mile up the road.
By the way, if you are coming into Sheridan or the area between Silver Creek and Fredonia, drive the speed limit. Let me tell you, drive the speed limit.
You sound like you speak from experience.
That's right. That's right.
So that defensive driving course I was talking about earlier.
Our New York State Trooper friends love Route 20 and Route 60,
especially near the wineries.
There you
Now,
go.
I actually have been to your winery,
Well,
and it is a very, very nice winery, and it is true you have lots of nice tastings.
Yeah, and that's something that this area is blessed with. Chautauqua County is our agribusiness.
Lots of different kinds of grapes. Now, do they make ice wine at your winery?
It's actually a faux ice wine. It's very difficult in our climate. You would think it would be easy, but it's not so much. Some make the actual ice wine, which for those of you who are not novices to that, you leave a certain number of grapes on the vine, and when they freeze, it gives you a very, very great concentration of sugar, which makes it it's a dessert wine. It's not something that you necessarily...
Like a light syrup.
It's my kind of wine. I don't want anything bitter. I want it to taste sweet, but I want it to taste good, and I want it to have just a little bit of a buzz.
That's one of the great things about our community too, is we're the largest Concord grape growing region in the world, and the second largest wine producer, second only to California. So it's a great thing for our community because it brings people in from all over. As you probably know, we have a lot of weekends through the Lake Erie wine country events, and we bring in people from Pittsburgh, from Cleveland, from Kentucky, from Ontario, Buffalo, Syracuse, and Rochester. So it really is a boon to the community. They spend 2 or 3 days in our bed and breakfast, our hotels, our restaurants. So it's a good thing.
Just another reason to thank the good Lord for living in the only perfect place to not only raise Concord grapes, but to have, because of our wonderful Lake Erie and the wonderful view and so forth that we get and the enjoyment from the lake.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
All right. Well, thank you for calling. And as our viewers know, if
Thank you.
send us I gotta say this slowly, self-addressed stamped envelope. That's hard to say really fast.
It sure is.
We'll send you some coupons to the Lakeview restaurant down here in Mayville.
Wonderful,
Oh,
wonderful.
there it
Place
is.
to eat. I love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So we jumped ahead to the winery,
That's
but
okay.
let's roll back the tape just a
That's
little bit
okay.
longer, just a little bit more, because I know I introduced you to the guys earlier, but you got to tell us the Bill Goldberg story.
Bill Goldberg story.
If you watch
okay.
WWF wrestling,
Yeah.
Bill Goldberg is the man.
Well, we'll cut to the
just skip a few a little bit.
We went from the Speedway went to Jamestown Savings Bank Arena,
Right, the big arena,
and spent 8 years there.
Well,
and
I didn't realize you were there that long.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
it was a great career there, and you got to meet a lot of great folks. And now, as I said, it'll be almost a year in July. I'm the director of branding and marketing for Merrit Estate, who has 3 big events that they put on every year.
Okay.
One is Strawberry Festival, which comes up in June.
Coming up soon.
And the other one is America's Grape Country Wine Festival, which is we bring in close to 40 wineries this year. We're going to be doubling the size.
Wow.
That's at the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds. The other one is Septemberfest, obviously in September, the second weekend of September.
Cleverly disguised.
And it just so happened, again, at a Jim Kelly event that Jason Merrit happened to bump into Bill Goldberg, who was in town playing golf with Jim Kelly and Andre Reed and all these other folks.
Andre Reed.
Yeah.
The
Hall
Andre
of
Reed.
Fame. Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh.
Oh, when you're Jim Kelly,
Oh,
you make a couple phone calls.
Oh, I gotta rub shoulders with this guy.
So
my family would love this.
They met, and he says, "We'd love to have you come to Septemberfest as a guest." He said, "I'll be there." Now, for those who don't know who Bill Goldberg is, he played for 4 different teams in the NFL.
Right,
And,
big dude. He was a linebacker, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Carolina or Georgia. He played for Georgia Bulldogs. Went to the NFL, got hurt in the NFL, and then became a professional.
It must have
wrestler.
taken 10 of them to hurt the guy.
Yeah, and was actually a world champion for the WCW,
Right,
WWE, and then ended up in movies like the remake of The Longest Yard.
Oh, okay.
With Adam Sandler
right.
and Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was in 2 of his
He's
movies.
Belgian, by the way. I'm part Belgian.
There you go. There you go. And a number of others. And has 2 shows on cable TV right now. A do-it-yourself show, and he's a huge car buff. Muscle cars, that type of thing. So he has a show on the Speed Channel. So we happen to have...
So there is life after wrestling.
There's life after wrestling, and he doesn't rule out possibly going back to that someday.
Oh my gosh.
Huge guy.
Now, years ago, I took the kids, and my brother took our kids down to Erie, the Civic Center, to see the WWF, and I kept saying, this isn't exactly like, knock 'em, kill 'em stuff. A lot of it's theatrics and so forth. But I'm going to tell you right now, I saw Bill Goldberg get down to the 3-point stand. You know how he would do that?
Yeah.
And I forgot who the other wrestler he was, because I think the guy is either dead now because he killed him or whatever it was. But he charged that guy, and he hit him so hard, that guy went flying, hit that man, and they must have practiced it. But I mean, it was a full hit, and it was like, oh my God, you have to be in tip-top shape to do that. So you've met athletes and car racers. Now tell me, how'd you get into whining? I mean, that's like, wow.
Well, Jason Merrit and I are on the Chautauqua County Fair Board of Directors, and as I'm the current president of the Chautauqua County Visitors Bureau, so I get to bump into a lot of folks.
No, I got
and honestly, I've been buying wine on the trail from the Merrit family, and the Merrit family were friends with my wife's family at St. George's, who had St. George Farms on Route 60. Okay. So we've kind of kept in touch, and then Jason, who was the general manager, said, I'm looking for a new director of marketing. He said,
there
what do
you
you think? And after I left the arena, we had possibly talked about moving out of town or taking different positions. And I said, this would be kind of neat. It's I love a challenge. And I said,
I guess so.
How neat would it be to be able to take a product from point A to point B and kind of see it come to fruition? And we're able to do that.
We have another caller.
Great.
Take off. Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning. This is Linda
Linda,
Spalding.
good morning.
It's good to see you on the show, Mike.
Thank you very much.
And
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I really enjoy your wine. Although I've never been to your winery, I'm going to have to make a point to go.
You gotta come out.
We gotta get a picture of Linda someday so we can put it on here, because Linda is a super lady and she's been real instrumental in the program here and stuff. So what's up, Lynn?
Oh, thank you. I have a question. You were mentioning how Chautauqua County rates so high as far as wineries and production of wine. Does that really exceed France?
No, to tell you the truth, we're way behind France and California with regards to number of gallons that they produce every year, which is 10 times what we produce. But we're finally New York State wines, and quite honestly, thanks to the success of the Finger Lakes and their history, we're getting more exposure for things like the Seneca Wine Trail and the Niagara Wine Trail. And now, this was originally the Chautauqua Wine Trail, and now it's been rebranded and renamed Lake Erie Wine Country, or Grape Country, and the Wine Country as well. So it really has taken on a life of its own, and it's the respectability of New York wines. I'll tell you a funny story is we had the group Yes. I don't know if you remember that, Yes and
Roundabout?
Asia. Yeah.
Uh-oh, I just dated myself.
they performed at the arena, and
you met Yes?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. We met
famous
Yes.
musicians, race cars. Oh man!
One of the things that they do is they ask for things in their dressing room, and the one thing that they asked for was California wine, in particular California wine. And I said, "Well, you're in Chautauqua County, New York. We'd be glad to give you wine, but we'd really like it if you would accept a couple of bottles of our wine." And they wouldn't come out of the dressing room to meet and greet after the concert because it wasn't the California wine. And I said, "Gentlemen, first of all, how old are you guys? Get over it." But secondly, and they said, "Well, we don't drink fruit wines."
Well, what do they drink?
And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure a California grape is as much of a fruit as a New York grape. So there's always been that misconception that wines from France and California are superior to New York. And we're very, if the inauguration ball this year, President Obama and the chefs at the White House used New York wine, so we were very proud of that. And Jim Treesice and the folks at the New York Wine and Grape Foundation have done a fantastic job of getting a lot more legitimacy. We'd like to see more, especially local wines and local restaurants if possible, but we're very pleased. So no, we're way behind France and California, but we're willing to give it a shot.
I wanted to ask, well, thank you. I wanted to ask you another question. Is it true that the frost on the grapes is what gives it the distinctive, wonderful flavor?
I am not as much of a
connoisseur,
ologist, I guess. But that's I leave that to Bill and Jason. But really, as we talked about earlier, especially with ice wine, when the grape is cold, it concentrates the sugar content and the sweetness. So yeah, you're right, especially particular with ice wine. The Concord grape itself needs no help, and that's one of the different things. One of the differences between California and New York. If you look at California, which is much hotter, and you get those Southern California breezes coming off the ocean, that creates an entirely different grape and type of grape and flavor of grape as it does here in New York. We get our weather from Lake Erie, and it's everything from cool summer nights to very warm days, and then of course the fall and winter. So there's varying degrees. Too much of anything, too much cold is not good, too much hot is not good, too much dry. So it's a distinct science like any agricultural endeavor. And but you're right, if it remains cool, it does bring that sugar content up.
Well, I really do like New York State wines.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention that there are services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging.
Sure.
And our phone number in Mayville is 753-4471. And the Dunkirk-Fredonia area toll-free is 363-4471. And we have computer training going on in the Dunkirk Library. It's free. also at the Patterson Library, in Jamestown at the Office for the Aging. It's on a one-to-one basis. People learn at their own pace, and we've put over 700 people through.
Wow.
It's a wonderful
Terrific.
training for seniors.
All right. Well, Linda, you have a wonderful day, and go buy you some wine, sell some wine, huh?
I will. Here it's New York State. I'm going to look for Merrit.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks
Have
for
a great
calling,
week.
Lynn. All right, you take care.
You know, John, one great thing about Chautauqua County is the Four Seasons.
Mhm.
You know, having been in Wichita, Kansas, and going through a tornado
It's
alley
flat there,
season,
isn't
it's flat, and you don't want to go through tornado or any of that. You know, we'll deal with the snow, but really, you're looking at four seasons that are very profitable for the community.
Sure.
During the summer, you get a lot of people who say, well, it's all about Bemis Point or Chautauqua Lake. Well, it's really not.
Not anymore.
You've got Lake Erie, and quite frankly, we should be thankful that we have Chautauqua Lake. The amount of taxes that those second homes bring to our community,
Sure.
if those homes did not exist,
We'd be hurting.
we'd be hurting, which also lends to the importance of keeping. Lake Erie sort of takes care of itself. You know, as we've had that discussion with the folks who have businesses along Lake Erie. There's very few real problems with Lake Erie, where Chautauqua Lake has had the weed issue.
Oh, yeah.
That comes up every year, and a lot of folks who have homes from Pittsburgh, from Cleveland, from the Virginia area, who come up here and spend a lot of money and pay taxes, are very, very concerned about that from so many different reasons.
Right.
And yet it was interesting when we had Major League Fishing here this summer, the television program. They like the weeds because
I suppose you
fish
met all
kinda
the
hunt 'em.
famous fishermen.
No, I left that to Andrew Nixon. Andrew got up at 4 o'clock every morning to make sure that they had breakfast, and it was
So, Mike,
great.
as far as the weed control, we've had folks here on the show, and they've talked about different approaches. Do you have a particular thought on all that?
No.
Stay out of that one.
You know, the thing about, because it's just so difficult. When you cut them, like anything else, you cut them, they grow.
Right.
The chemical issue may be a necessity, sort of scares people. Either way, we'll wait and see what happens. Greg Peterson and his group and Vince Horgan and their group have some very good studies coming out probably in the next couple of weeks that are going to make some decisions on what needs to be
But the
done.
bottom line is that the lake it gives back more than it takes, really, when you think about it. It's a huge asset here.
Yeah.
Mike, we're kind of running down on time here. You realize that?
I know that went
You've
fast.
probably been the easiest guest I've ever had. I was going to go get a drink of water and walk around the building for a while. But that's a seasoned veteran when it comes to public relations. Mike, why don't you take about 30 seconds here? Tell us about whatever you want to promote right now, whether it's the winery or.
You know, it goes hand in hand. I think we should all be very grateful for the community we live in. We've been blessed with a community that has summer, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And really, I've heard arguments from people saying, well, a lot of the funds go to the south or the north. The funds for the community reach all four seasons, between skiing and lakes and boating and the fall.
Right.
And you should get out and enjoy it. You know, maple tapping just got started yesterday.
Just kicked in.
And you know, we've got wonderful places in Chautauqua County, like the Sugar Shack, the Secrets that are out there, the Panama Rocks, if you haven't been there in a long time, plus the big attractions. So the grass always looks greener someplace else, literally, and hopefully we'll see that green grass. But get out and enjoy Chautauqua County and Western New York, and that goes for the wine trails and everything else. Tremendous art trail that's out there, and also enjoy some of our local artists too, like yourself.
Yep.
Get out there,
Thank
and, from music to art, and
yeah.
we've got a lot to be thankful
This is a great
for.
county. Well, thank you, Mike, for having me. Will you come back another time?
Anytime.
All right,
Anytime.
super. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. We can't take any more callers because we're wrapping things up here. Tonight, I'm going to be with my buddy Bill over at the Corner Cafe, wait a minute, I got it right. Corner Coffee House and Bistro in Frewsburg. I want to thank Randy Burt and Don Zenz for doing the camera work. Jeff Zook out there in the studio, or in the operations. This is the studio. I get always backwards.